Hey Steeler fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to our Pittsburgh Steelers news and review video here on a Wednesday. Before we jump into a very interesting trade package regarding Diontae Johnson and possibly the Dallas Cowboys, wide receiver needy Dallas Cowboys. First, if you guys want to shout out in a future video later on this week, all you got to do, turn on notifications. Hit the notification bell down below. It's right by the subscription box. The first 20 people to turn on notifications and type Noti Gang in the comments section will get a shout out on a future video. So jump in on that potential right now. All right, as we said, we meant jumping in the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news and rumors, starting with what Bleacher Report calls a firework trade package. This one came out on 4th of July. Firework, right? Get it? Good job, Bleacher Report. Regarding Diontae Johnson. So one of their packages has Johnson going to the Dallas Cowboys, which makes sense on the surface because Dallas, obviously, losing Amari Cooper, they kind of need a wide receiver. Now, can they afford to go ahead not only trade for Diontae Johnson, but sign him to a massive extension, or at least a big extension, because we know how expensive the wide receiver market became this offseason with the Jaguars giving Christian Kirk $18 million a year. I mean, that's kind of the surface, look at what the Cowboys can do. But we also know the fact that Diontae Johnson wants that new deal, and it's one of the big reasons why he's included in a possible trade package like this, because Pittsburgh seemingly doesn't want to give him a new contract. Now, I'm fine with giving him a new contract. I'm fine with not giving him a new contract. I'm kind of torn on this one just because I know how well he played last year, but I also know that Pittsburgh drafted Calvin Austin and George Pickens, and it's like, okay, do you really need Diontae Johnson? So, all right, first we'll jump into the mock trade. As we mentioned, it would get the Steelers a 2023 second-round draft pick. That's pretty high. That's not bad. And the Cowboys would go ahead and get, of course, Diontae Johnson. Who says no to that? I mean, a second-round draft pick for a guy that you don't want to extend, very clearly because they haven't given a contract extension, I think makes a ton of sense. Like, I would trade Johnson for a second-round draft pick in a heartbeat. For all the reasons that I just mentioned and more. If Calvin Austin plays better than people are expecting him to, and I don't think people think he's going to be bad this year, but he's a, later-round draft pick, or at least not a first or a second-round draft pick, and so anything after first or second round is later round in most people's minds. If he performs at a decent starter level and Pickens plays very, very well, then you already have 3 good wide receivers, and most football teams only need 3 good wide receivers. Heck, if it's just George Pickens and Chase Claypool, you have 2 good wide receivers, and that's plenty for Kenny Pickett or Mason Rudolph or Mitchell Trubisky, whoever is the starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the value here is too good to pass up. I would 100% do it. The question really is, would Dallas do it? Because I think Pittsburgh would do this deal in a heartbeat. Would Dallas give up a second-round draft pick and then, in turn, have to give him $18 million a year, $19 million a year, I don't know, $20 million a year, right? I think Johnson wants a lot of money, and so that's why I think that a deal like this is possibly on hold, just because Dallas or any other team wanting to trade for Johnson doesn't want to pay the massive, massive extension that is going to be required if you trade for him, because that's obviously why he wants a new deal and why the Steelers would think about going ahead and trading for him. So another option there, again, we talk about Diontae Johnson a lot here on the channel. I wanted to give you some ideas of what a trade could look like. Maybe a second-round draft pick, that's what Bleacher Report says. Maybe a third, who knows? But if they want to get rid of him, there is a market out there. It's just a matter of someone wanting to pay after trading for him that massive contract extension that Johnson is looking for. Okay, add a great pin comment down below. We'll start today's show with this question. Would you trade Diontae Johnson for a second? Would you do the deal that Bleacher Report just mentioned? If you would, type Y down below for yes. If you would not, go ahead and type N down below for no. Okay, I want to move over to something it's not bad, but I need to clear the air on this. So James Farrior, the former Pittsburgh Steeler, if you're on Twitter and you're a Steeler fan, you probably saw a picture of this tweet. We'll throw it up on your screen. So Mark, I think you say his name is Kaboli? Is he say his last name? Either way, Mark posted this picture of Brian Windhorst, who had kind of a weird NBA rant on, First Take the other day, and so his meme is kind of going around. But he says, why did Kenny Pickett take nothing but 13 snaps at OTAs? Well, one of the replies is from the official James Farrior account, as you see at James Farrior, who said he's third-team quarterback, basically saying that he's as good as he is. That's why he went ahead and took those third-team snaps. So there's a little bit of Kenny Pickett slander on the timeline over at the weekend, and some Kenny Pickett slander for you today here on a Wednesday, which I'm not having. Listen, I like James Farrior. I appreciate what he did in Pittsburgh. Thought he was a great player. But Pickett not taking first-team reps yet is not a big deal, and let me explain why. It's as simple as the fact that there are other quarterbacks ahead of him. There's no way that you can draft a quarterback, whether it's first round or not, and instantly, at the very first practice, that he comes into a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform, whether it's an OTA or a training camp or a mini camp or a rookie camp, you can't put him as the first team or first string quarterback, especially if there are other quarterbacks there. It's disrespectful, right? Because Mr. Trubisky is an NFL veteran at this point. Mason Rudolph is a Pittsburgh Steeler veteran. It would be totally disrespectful to instantly start Kenny Pickett as a 1. He's got to earn that, right? Start him as a 3, and then slowly work his way up to being a 2 if he plays well in practices, at training camp, and then up to a 1 eventually at some point this year. He won't start the year as a 1, I don't think. I think that's Trubisky's job to go ahead and lose. But the idea that we're going to sit back and say, oh, well, he didn't get any first-team snaps at OTAs. That means he's a third-string quarterback. I always knew he was a third-string quarterback. Stop. Like James Farrior, don't know how do you not know what you're talking about here? They're not going to start him at the starting quarterback job day 1 of OTAs. Again, you got to earn it. It's like saying, James Farrior, hey, we drafted your replacement at linebacker or whatever, right? But we're going to start him day 1 at OTAs, even though you're still our quarterback. I'm not saying that I'm a big Mr. Trubisky or Mason Rudolph guy and that they're clearly going to be better than Kenny Pickett the rest of their career, but I think Mr. Trubisky has earned at least first-team reps at OTAs, right? At least first-team reps the first couple of weeks at training camp. Now, if he starts to struggle, if Pickett's balling out, sure, work him up there. But there's no need to hit the panic button right now if he's not taking instant first-team snaps as a rookie quarterback, right? You want your rookies to have a slow build and eventually becoming starters, especially at the quarterback spot, right? If this was a left guard and he's not starting in the number 1 overall draft pick, yes, that's a big deal. If it's a wide receiver, if it's a cornerback, if it's a safety, sure. But quarterback, I would much rather go the long game, the long route here, and let him sit behind Trubisky and Rudolph for a couple of weeks or even most of the season. That way he's ready to go and you don't have a repeat of what happened to Sam Darnold, where he was a top 4 pick and then immediately turned pressed to start and was just flooded with information and never figured out how to be an NFL quarterback, and hence has become kind of a backup, essentially. Whether he starts or not in Carolina is unknown, but a backup, really a caliber throughout the rest of his career. So don't worry about this. You saw this on Twitter, not a big deal. Farrier's just being a little bit dramatic, in my opinion. Okay, now what's not dramatic is subscribing to our channels. We're close to 15,000 subs here on the Pittsburgh Steelers News and Rumor channel and videos like we do every single day. Go ahead and subscribe down below. It's myself, Tom, the other guys here at Chat Sports. Get you guys the latest and greatest Steelers stuff. Go down below and subscribe for plenty, let me emphasize that, plenty more content coming up next couple of days and weeks. Okay, I want to end on something that's a little bit premature, but a little bit fun, right? It's the offseason. We can have a little bit of fun with this. I want to get into big free agents the Steelers could sign in 2023. And this comes via the Steel Curtain, who had a very good article on potential guys you could look to target next offseason with plenty of free agent money, as we expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to go ahead and have. So we'll just jump into them. Do they make sense? Do they not? Who knows? Let's just start with the first one for you via the Steel Curtain. Orlando Brown, the offensive lineman, is a name that makes sense. And again, these are guys who are most likely going to be free agents next year, hence why they are listed here. And you'll notice that this is not the first, but the one of 2 offensive linemen the Steelers could potentially sign based on what the Steel Curtain is saying in 2023, and this makes sense. What is the offensive line going to be this year? They have not had a Pro Bowler in a couple of years. First time they haven't had a back-to-back Pro Bowler since 2008, 2009. They need a legit offensive lineman. Whether it's Brown, whether it's somebody else, I don't know, but I'd be shocked if this is your starting 5 in 2023. I hope it is. I think that they made some key adjustments. I think Mason Cole at the center position, but is this going to be the long-term answer at offensive line? I'm not sure, hence why Brown was listed on the Steel Curtain's ranking list. Okay, we'll get to a safety here in just one second. First, there is a crazy deal on a pair of Steeler t-shirts right now at chatsports.com/Pit Combo. That's P-I-T Combo. 40% off when you use our link. This is the real deal official stuff. Rep your Steelers and get a great deal at the same time. I always say the best time to go ahead and get Steeler gear or any NFL gear is during the offseason, and it's the offseason, so jump in on some Steeler gear right now. This link to get the Steeler t-shirt combo will be down below in the description box as well. chatsports.com/Pit Combo. Okay, next player is Jessie Bates on this list of potential free agents in 2023. Bates makes a ton of sense because, one, he's most likely going to be a free agent because he does not want, or at least the Bengals don't want to give him a long-term deal. Elite safety, you play him twice a year, you know how good he is. Big-time leader on that championship defense, or the Super Bowl caliber defense with the Bengals. I think he'd be a great addition to the safety spot. Probably a little bit expensive, but an option. Next is Bradley Chubb, who I'm very interested in. I think Chubb is one of the forgotten pass rushers in the National Football League because there are so many. Chubb has continued to dominate in Denver, even with Von Miller leaving. I think the Broncos are going to try to re-sign Bradley Chubb, but he is going to be a free agent, at least for now, and him and TJ Watt together would be one of the scariest outside linebacker, edge rusher duos, whatever you want to call them, in the entire National Football League. Finally, perhaps the favorite player on this list from the Steel Curtain of mine is Quenton Nelson, the guard from the Indianapolis Colts. Again, will Quenton Nelson actually hit free agency? I'd be shocked because Nelson is one of the best guards in the National Football League, and the Colts are not dumb. They're probably going to go ahead and ink him to a massive deal. But if he hits the market, why not just reinvest in the offensive line with the best possible player you could potentially find out there? I mean, Nelson's been a bona fide Pro Bowler his entire career with the Indianapolis Colts. He would be an instant upgrade over what the Steelers have at the guard position right now in their offensive line. Will he be a free agent? Probably not, but it's the offseason. We're having fun here. Let's predict some guys that could be. Those are the four I think that make some sense, at least according to Steel Curtain, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Name a 2023 free agent you'd love to sign. Is there one that you would love to go ahead and sign? Let me know who that is down below in the comment section. I like Bradley Chubb. That'd be my pick out of the list, but you guys give me your pick down below. And then we'll go ahead and end on this. Mailbag video happening later on this week. One of the guys here at Chat Sports will answer your mailbag questions if you're a subscriber. So get those questions in right now using the hashtag Steelers in the comments section. And that's the easiest way for us to kind of find the comments. Control F, search Steelers, and then we can find your guys' comments. So ask the mailbag questions down below right now. Okay, all time for today on our Pittsburgh Steelers newsroom video on a Wednesday. I'm Thomas Mott, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.